World Underneath. No Morning. Chapter 1. Crush. Does my baby face make me look a bit green? Yvonne pushes a patient to radiology when she spots Grayson muttering to himself, his image reflected in the elevator's polished steel. Thank goodness Dr. Zane's out, otherwise you'd be in for a lecture. Dr. Zane's been busy catching up on work since his Mount Eternal trip. No time to micromanage. Grayson eyes the patient in the wheelchair. His leg is wrapped in a specialized cast for wanderer infections. The guy is glued to his phone and doesn't appear to be an average patient. Hunter? The man lifts his wrist and reveals an information band. Grayson scans it with the hospital's internal system app. He gets a result. Arctic Hunter. The patient had received a traumatic injury during battle and was briefly exposed to a high volume of metaflux. After going through post-treatment at the Arctic Trauma Center, a panel of experts flagged him for a procedure at Lincoln's AXO Hospital. The hunter in the wheelchair grumbles impatiently. What's with this kidnapping routine? When am I getting out of here? It's just a minor injury. Besides, the Arctic is a mess. We're already short-staffed as it is. You dragged me all the way here. It's standard protocol, and it's for your own good, Yvonne replies with a shrug. Grayson nods. Based on their limited interactions with hunters, mostly through Dr. Zane's special cases, they understood that these individuals prioritize missions over everything else. This is especially true for Alpha Team, for whom a recommendation for further examination is but a suggestion. Grayson remembers something and decides to change the subject. By the way, I'm curious. What do hunters do on their days off? The Arctic hunter continues scrolling through his phone, determined to shut Grayson down with one quick retort. Get wheeled around for checkups. But Grayson isn't giving up that easily. Then, do hunters have any hobbies they share? The hunter finally looks up, scrutinizing Grayson's earnest expression with a hint of confusion. Then, as if a light bulb goes off in Yvonne's head, she exclaims, "Grayson, don't tell me you got a crush on—" Grayson scratches his head sheepishly and coughs as if his throat has become very itchy. Ding! The elevator bell rings. Yvonne, understanding the situation, pushes the hunter out of the elevator. Grayson quickly follows. What are you following me for? I haven't got my answer from the hunter yet. The medical examination briefing for the Hunters Association is about to start. Being a couple of minutes late won't hurt. Dr. Zane's already there. What? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why would Dr. Zane be at this meeting? Grayson quickly turns and rushes to the elevator. His body is already inside, but his eyes are fixed on the Arctic hunter, desperate for an answer. He doesn't even care if he's blocking the elevator door in a way that almost screams, "Don't try this stunt at home, kids!" Punching wanderers. Grayson's heart sinks. He purses his lips in disappointment and lets out a sigh as the elevator door closes. Chapter 2. Sustenance. By the time Grayson reaches the conference room, Dr. Zane is reviewing a case file with Dr. Wu from the Division of Evol and Protocol Medical Technology. Just as Grayson is about to greet him, Dr. Zane stands up and leaves the room. A trail of icy air is left behind. Stop by my office after the meeting. Grayson nods and finds a seat. It's just a regular briefing about the annual event where the Hunters Association's health centre partners with AXO Hospital to conduct comprehensive medical examinations on hunters. It ensures the effects of metaflux and protocore energy on their bodies remain within manageable limits. Grayson's mind, however, drifts elsewhere. It replays a scene where an injured person's heartbeat is brought back to life in his hands, and the girl smiles at him against the backlight. The wanderers behind her burst like fireworks, their light echoing the blossoming warmth in his heart. His phone buzzes, pulling him back to reality. Yvonne had sent him a message. Hey, regarding your hunter girl, why not take a cue from Dr. Zane? He's so close with Miss Hunter. You know that saying her name turns him into a softie? Grayson shivers at the thought of Dr. Zane's reaction if he asks something like, Dr. Zane, how did you pursue Miss Hunter? It's not that I don't want to, it's that I don't dare, Grayson thought. After the meeting, Grayson walks to Dr. Zane's office at a slower pace this time. To ask or not to ask, that is the question. Dr. Zane, I'm here. As he enters the office, a refreshing, cool fragrance reaches him. Dr. Zane, who is currently reviewing a file, has a slight frown on his face. It's a common sight when faced with a patient's challenging medical condition. There's a Type A cryoxenia implant surgery scheduled for the day after tomorrow. Get ready. Grayson takes the file, which belongs to the Arctic hunter he met earlier. The metaflux reaction in the patient's leg wound exceeds the reference limit and cannot be completely removed. Medical imaging results show that the residual metaflux has entered the bloodstream. A cryoxena must be implanted as soon as possible to prevent the metaflux from affecting the patient's heart even more. It could lead to a powerful surge, and he was still yelling about being discharged when I saw him this afternoon. We'll be performing 2 surgeries back to back, so it will take a while. You can skip the Hunters Association medical examination tomorrow and get some rest. Grayson nods, then shakes his head. I'll be fine. The association medical examination is always a breeze, just like a day off. Dr. Zane doesn't stop writing. His gaze from behind his glasses meets Grayson's for a moment. It's followed by a soft that sounds suspiciously meaningful to Grayson. Grayson responds with an awkward "Hear." Staring at the desk, he tries to change the subject. What a fascinating flower. Those buds look just like tiny snowballs. Is it for Miss Hunter? Grayson curls his finger and reaches for a small potted plant with white buds nestled in snow. It's on Zane's desk. It's a little droopy. Don't touch it. Zane's pen smacks Grayson's knuckles. Startled, he pulls his hand back. Realizing his attempt at a conversation has failed, Grayson shifts to another topic. Dr. Zane, you're more than inspirational. You're not only my mentor in my specialty, but also the guiding light for my life's journey. A teacher for a day and for... Do you have a crush now? Zane, with a stack of documents, heads to the filing cabinet. Grayson follows closely behind. Not really. It's just a budding feeling. Hunter. Oh, Dr. Zane, you're always so perceptive. You want to get to know her, but don't know how to break the ice. Exactly. I don't want to bother her during work, and I also don't know how to talk to her outside of work. Dr. Zane, how did you and Miss Hunter become friends? Our situation is unique. It's not a fair comparison. Of course. I'm not asking for a roadmap. I'm just curious about the lives of Hunter's loved ones. Zane settles back into his chair and clasps his hands together. He lets out a soft sigh. It's similar to the expression he wore on Grayson's first day when he couldn't answer a question during his rounds. Can you tell jokes? What? Grayson is completely baffled. Jokes? How could Dr. Zane's dry humour, the kind that would make a cricket chirp, possibly get him a girlfriend? Looking at Zane's eyes, Grayson tries to discern whether this is genuine advice, but all he sees is a cold glint reflected in Zane's glasses. Well, maybe hunters have a unique sense of humour. I'll give it a shot. Grayson lingers in the office. He turns back as if on the verge of asking a question. Then, catching a glimpse of snowflakes swirling in Zane's palm, he watches them land in the flower pot. The previously wilted stem seems to come alive, and the bud raises itself as if being gently awakened. His fingertip traces across the sepals, caressing them like a beloved's face. It's a rare sight. Zane, ever stoic and resting glacier-faced to his patients, has a hint of a smile gracing his lips as he looks at the flower. Guessing question time is over, Grayson turns back around and exhales. There has to be more to it than just telling jokes if Dr. Zane's able to charm Miss Hunter. Chapter 3. In the Shadows. The next morning, Grayson hums cheerfully as he enters the cafeteria with his breakfast tray. Yvonne, in the middle of biting a piece of bread, looks up in surprise. Today, Grayson is wearing a sharp, navy blue, 3-piece suit with a tie. His white lab coat is nowhere to be found. Ah, men. Swallowing her food, Yvonne speaks as if she isn't new to the games that guys play. It's better to be prepared and not panic. That's key, right? What if she notices me during the medical examination today? Grayson digs into his yogurt, but a sudden, almost jarring alarm cuts through the chatter. Metaflux leak in the northern suburbs. Exposure level 5. Grayson shoves a piece of bread in his pocket and sprints for the rooftop helipad. A rescue helicopter lifts off and Zane's figure disappears behind the fuselage's door. Zane is always one step ahead in emergencies. Grayson leaps into another helicopter that was prepared. Inside the cramped fuselage, he and another doctor scramble to change into protective gear, their eyes occasionally glancing at the northern suburbs. The rescue zone falls under her jurisdiction. Will their paths cross? A part of him hopes she's not there, but another part of him can't help but pray that if she is hurt, he'll be the one to treat her. The rescue operation lasts for 2 grueling days and nights. On the 3rd day, just before dawn, Grayson slumps against a stack of supplies in the temporary tent. He's utterly drained. "Did you evacuate everyone from Zone 2? A voice asks from behind. Grayson is too exhausted to turn. "Dr. Zane, you're here too." Fatigue crashes over Grayson like a wave. Finally, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out his phone. "Dr. Zane, she remembered me." He shows Zane the phone's screen. There's a chaotic post-battle street picture with the following caption: "The moment my heart started beating again was so cool. See, this post is about me, and earlier when I was unloading supplies she volunteered to help. She said I should take care of my hands because I'm a surgeon." After a second of silence, Zane responds, "And you let her take the box." Why not? In the unseen shadows, Zane cracks a faint smile. The hint of weariness beneath it escapes Grayson, who's drunk on his romance. "Letting the girl you like do all the heavy lifting? You're quite the charmer." "Hey, she's stronger than me. I struggle with one box and she carries two with ease." Recalling his earlier helicopter struggle, Grayson adds, "Speaking of which, Miss Hunter's job is so dangerous. Shouldn't you try to convince her to be less reckless?" The response comes in faint breaths in the cold air. It seems Zane has fallen asleep. There's another question burning in Grayson's mind. If something happened to Miss Hunter, what would Dr. Zane do? But then he remembers the faint scars crisscrossing on Zane's hands. With his superior medical skills, powerful evil, and unwavering resolve, Grayson knows Zane wouldn't let anyone get hurt, especially when it's someone he cares about. Even today, during a rescue break, Zane had once again saved people from wanderers. Only Zane can truly stand beside Miss Hunter in battle. Grayson glances down at his own hands. They're ordinary surgeon's hands, and they don't have a strong evol at their disposal. What could he do? The tent becomes colder. Grayson closes his eyes and surrenders to the encroaching darkness. Chapter 4. Snow Velvet. The emergency rescue operation throws the Arctic Hunter's surgeries back 2 days. Thankfully, everything went smoothly. The next day, Grayson follows Zane. They're going to do a checkup on the Hunter. Restless after complaining about overkill treatment, the patient is now stuck in bed. He's bored out of his mind as daily status updates for Mount Eternal's protofield appear on the projector. As Zane and Grayson enter the room, he throws out a casual question. "Can I still be a hunter?" It catches Grayson off guard. He throws a worried glance at the sagging blanket that covers the Hunter's leg. He looks to Zane for an answer. "Yes," Zane replies, "as long as you promise to avoid getting injured again." "Haha, I'll try my best. Trying isn't good enough. It's good you have Dr. Zane here. Otherwise what you might have lost wouldn't be." Zane throws a look at Grayson. Recovering his composure, Grayson uses his professional tone. "Movement can increase blood flow. If you're planning to be out on the field, you should schedule more frequent checkups. Also, the Cryosina needs to be replaced regularly." "Ah, fine. When can I get out of here?" No longer sad, the Hunter's impatience returns to what it was before his surgery. Grayson is upset. Physical therapy starts in 2 weeks, and the stitches come out in 4 weeks. As for a bionic exoskeleton, that will be 6 to 8 weeks. It depends on how your wound heals. Zane remains calm as he lays out the recovery timeline. The 8-week wait makes the Hunter frown, but Zane cuts him off before he can protest. "There are 2 ways out of here, walking or rolling. You'll experience the walking part soon, but if you want to keep hunting, follow the doctor's orders. Otherwise you might be rolling out of the hospital." A chill runs through the room, and frost seemingly appears on the window. The Hunter gulps and nods, clearly getting the message. A week later, Grayson enters the room for the Arctic Hunter's final checkup. The good news is that the residual metaflux remained contained for 2 weeks. The Cryosina is working perfectly, so the surgery was a success. Congratulations, off to physical therapy you go, and then you'll be back on the battlefield in no time. He supports the Hunter by offering an elbow. They stroll through the sun-drenched hospital garden. "So, Dr. Grayson, did anything happen with that Hunter girl?" "She asked me out. We'll be having dinner together on my next day off." He smiles, but a flicker of concern crosses his face as the Hunter winces with every step. "Are you worrying about her again?" "Yeah. I can't help it. Your guy's job is dangerous." As they step into the elevator, a memory surfaces. Their first encounter a month ago. It was right here that the Hunter's voice boomed in protest against a kidnapping. But now, what's there to be scared of? We got you guys watching our backs. The Hunter remains nonchalant about potential risks. Grayson is infuriated again. "Hey, we're just regular hard-working doctors. The way you charge into danger and face all those risks almost scares us to death." Passing by Zane's office, the Hunter stops in his tracks. "Is the Glacier Face Doc in? I owe him a thank you." "He usually takes a break around this time," Grayson says, but the determined Hunter throws open the door before he can finish. "The office thermostat must be on the fritz." Grayson can't help but shiver. A booming voice interrupts the silence as the Arctic Hunter utters a woe in front of Zane's desk. "Isn't this Snow Velvet?" Don't touch it. Grayson rushes forward, pushing away the hunter's finger before it brushes against the delicate flower. You know what it is? Of course I do. It's rare stuff even in the Arctic. It only grows on the northern cliffs of Mount Eternal. Not just anyone can go there, but that's where you can find the cleanest snow. Something's been happening in the mountains lately though. The wildlife is practically extinct. It makes me wonder if Glacier Face got some kind of hobby for saving pretty things. Chapter 5. A Long Night. After the Arctic hunter was discharged, this year's hunter data from the medical examination has been finally analysed. Zane assigns Grayson the task of writing the report for the hunter's heart health. Buried in the data, Grayson discovers a worrying trend. A large number of hunters are showing signs of type Y protocore syndrome, more than the usual amount seen in previous years. This syndrome involves metaflux that hides in various organs and systems, with a long latency period and slow progression. By the time it's detected, it's often too late. There is currently no known cure. He flags this potential risk to the Hunters Association. Andrew from Data Analysis takes it all in stride. He politely replies that they'll tweak their algorithms based on these hunters' past missions to minimize the risks. Grayson can't help but think Andrew is a little too composed sometimes, especially after hearing him say, "This is all we can do for now." It hits a little too close to home. The night shift at the inpatient building is like a giant circulatory system. Blood and breath move silently through the halls. Souls slumber in the small white cubes lining the corridors. Grayson feels like he's gone adrift, a lone white blood cell wandering a weary body. And the only beacon in the night, Zane's office, of course. That ever-vigilant lighthouse keeper guards the shores of life. Does even he feel the weight? The helplessness? Lost in thought, Grayson pushes open the office door. Light spills from the computer screen, his gaze drawn to the snow velvet on the desk as he approaches. This flower. Bending down, Grayson sees the snowball-like buds that Zane saved. The plant had started to bloom, but now it's drooping, the stem twisted and shrinking against the white porcelain. A single wilted petal falls and lands on the black ice crystals nestled in the pot. He remembers pristine white snow used to be there. Dr. Zane? The cold computer light casts an unsettling glow over the scene. It inexplicably reminds him of the frigid tent they were in a few weeks back. It was morning, yet the light seemed to have been filtered through a thick black veil. Drowsy and disoriented, he vaguely remembers a faint voice. It was a conversation with Dr. Zane that lingers just out of reach. The sterile office gloom makes him come to his senses, and Grayson searches for Zane. He takes in the scattered case files on the desk and the chair that's facing the door. It's a scene that screams of a hurried exit. An emergency surgery? Before panicked thoughts overwhelm Grayson's mind, the office door opens with a click. Zane enters, rubbing his knuckles against his brow. I was passing by and decided to walk in. Dr. Zane, your flower. A harsh chill seems to emanate from Zane as he approaches the desk. His hand reaches out to the wilted snow velvet. He hesitates, his hand remaining suspended in midair as if held back by an invisible force. It seems it's beyond saving. Zane gathers the case files and talks with Grayson about the checkups tonight. The conversation drifts to the hunter Grayson's been crushing on. She said if the worst-case scenario happens and someone needs to perform CPR, even if it means breaking her ribs and her heart stops for 6 minutes and they don't give up, she wants it to be me. Zane offers a knowing smile. They both understand the unspoken question of what lies beyond those 6 minutes. Dr. Zane, when we declare someone gone, in the eyes of their family, are we guardian angels or the Grim Reaper? It's an unanswered question that hangs in the air. Zane can't help but glance at the desk. A few fragile petals of the snow velvet fall, only with its tiny heart still desperately clinging to life amidst the black ice crystals.